Hello, thank you for joining us. I'm Liz from Curriculum Design, and joining us today from our support team is Nikki. Nikki will be able to answer technical questions that you have about our platform. She'll also collect questions for me to answer at the end. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see a couple buttons. We would love to have you use the Q&A button if there are specific questions that you have, and please use the comment button for just general comments. Yeti, set, go, theme park. Let's talk briefly about our goals for this training. We would like to briefly introduce you to the theme park module and give you some tips on getting started quickly and easily, and finally answer any questions that you have either about this training or about the module or about Yeti Academy. As a teacher, I always wanted to create lessons that were very engaging for my students, and as a curriculum designer, my goals are the same. I want to make engaging material, but one of my other important areas is to help teachers feel prepared. STEM can be difficult and challenging and time-consuming, so our goal is to really give you everything that you need to feel successful. Let's talk a little bit about what makes Yeti Academy special and theme park special. Theme park, like a lot of our modules, has a very intentional inclusion of digital citizenship concepts. So we want students to be practicing these concepts as they're moving through our applications. So they are practicing these ethical online practices, and they're learning these valuable concepts as they move through. In addition, our real-world topics and activities make our lessons applicable. It helps for student engagement and also gives them the opportunity to practice these project and problem-based things. They practice communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking, those 4 C's that are stressed by the NEA, which is the National Education Association. Our modules are perfect for differentiated instruction. We have a 7E approach that includes 7 different learning modalities that students are able to use. So they see that material in a lot of different ways, a lot of different methods, and they can kind of pick and choose those areas that work best for them. The diversity of these resources also makes our modules very applicable for either in-class, online, or hybrid education. So really in any learning environment, our modules can be used easily and effectively. Our courses are great for summer enrichment programs, for elective classes, for career and technical education. Really anything that you can think of, we have modules that would be a great fit. One of my favorite things about our modules is the vast number of teacher resources that we have available. So as a classroom teacher myself, I've integrated a lot of my tried and true strategies from the classroom, and this is true with other members of our team. We're trying to give you a product that we've basically used ourselves and that's going to work for you. So not only do we want to captivate that student interest, we want to give you those tools that you need to be successful as a teacher. Theme Park specifically introduces the Google Workspace application. So these were formerly known as G Suite. So these are going to be things like Google Docs and drawings and slides. And students are having the opportunity to practice with these in a very hands-on and creative way. So they're developing very specific skills in those applications. And as they gain this experience, they're gaining self-confidence, but they're doing it in a fun and interactive way. So some of your first steps in getting started in teaching the theme park module or any of our modules, you are going to want to know how to create a class, how to add a student, and how to assign curriculum to students. So we definitely want to give you a glimpse of that today. As we show you these things, I want to show them to you in real time. So I'm going to switch over to our platform, and hopefully you are able to see our dashboard. So as you log in, this is what you're going to see. Now within this area, this is where we're going to create our class and our student. So let me show you that. So we're going to start with the classes tab, which is kind of your best friend as a teacher. Also the dashboard button. I guess I should mention that this menu on the left hand side kind of shows you some of your options within the platform. Clicking on this dashboard button at the top is always going to bring you back here. So don't be afraid to kind of poke around in the site and explore a little bit, because you know this dashboard button will always bring you right back to your home base. So directly below that, we're going to click on classes. And you can see it shows that we have no results found. We do not have any classes, but that is very easy. We're going to do that now by clicking on the Add a Class button. This is going to prompt us to enter a name for our class. I'm going to do this one. I've used this before. I'm going to enter my grade level. So I'm going to go with my favorite, which is 8th grade. I should mention that up in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, when you log in, you'll see your name and a profile picture if you add it. So that name, Yeti Snow, is applied here as the primary teacher. I can also add additional teachers. I can select the days that the class meets if I would like. It's optional. Then I'm going to click Create. When I click Create, you can see that the name of the class has been added here. I am able to edit that if I would like, and my profile picture has been added to that because I'm the teacher for this class. Now we do not have any students, but adding students also very easy. So we're going to click on the student icon, and this will bring up some of the different ways that you can add students to your class. So you can add a single student, just one student at a time. You're able to add a block of students. You can also project a class code that students can use to join into the class, or if you have a bunch of students that you want to add, you can import them using a CSV file. So right now we're just going to add a single student. You can see this is already auto-populated with a student that I've used before, so I'll just go ahead and use that student name. This is also helpful, so if you're adding a student that you had in one class, it's easy to bring them over to the next class. And you're definitely going to want to select grade level here, and I'll show you why that's especially important in a minute. So let's click Create. And in doing that, now you can see our class and our student added in. They have one module assigned to them, and this is why I said that you wanted to select grade level, because this has automatically given them Yeti Code Level 2. Yeti Code Level 1 is given to those early elementary students. So this automatically goes into their account based on their grade level. But we are going to assign another curriculum to this student, which is easy. We'll just click the Assign Curriculum button. From here, we'll click the drop-down menu box. And today we are going to select Theme Park. When we select it, you can see that the Assign button is highlighted in blue. And we'll click on that. Oh, I didn't select my student. So we're going to select our student first. Now this is going to bring up the flyout menu on the right side. We'll come back to that in a second. So let's go back to Assign Curriculum. You can see Theme Park is still there, and we're going to click Assign. Now we can see that theme park has also been added for this student. So even if you make a mistake like me, it's easy to go in and fix it. So no worries. Now, as a teacher, I would have a couple of questions at this point. I would be thinking to myself, how do I know what my student is doing in there? And is there any way for me to regulate this? Well, let me tell you a couple of things. First of all, by default, it's set that lessons must be completed sequentially. So students can't just jump in and do a lesson here and do a lesson there. It needs to be completed sequentially. You can always turn that off, but by default, that's how it's set. And also teachers have the ability to lock and unlock lessons. So you don't have to worry that a student is going to go home and go through the whole module in the first night. So you have that ability to lock and unlock. Now, as a teacher, let me show you some of the things that are available to you. So I'm going to click on curriculum. That's going to bring up all the different types of lessons. So here you're going to choose the category that the class, that the module is in that you want to work with. And for us, that falls under digital literacy. So we see theme park here. When you go down and hover over the lessons button, you can see it highlights blue, and that's where you'll click to enter this module. When I click on this, this is bringing up another dashboard. So this dashboard is showing all of the different concepts that are included within this module. So I like to think of concepts like chapters in a book. So if I had a textbook with 14 chapters, here they are. So let's click into that first concept. And there are a few different areas here on the screen. All of these on the left-hand side are the student lessons. So we can go in and view those lessons and see what the students are viewing. We can also look, they do look a little bit different from the student side, so we will take a look at that also. On the right side of the screen, you see the teacher resources. It looks maybe a little bit intimidating with that big list of things. Inside the first item on the list, the Welcome to Theme Park module, you'll see a letter that kind of tells you about the module, and you'll also see a list of all the teacher resources, and it gives a little description of what those are. So if you look at this and it seems a little bit intimidating, it's easy to look at that and just see exactly what you have here. But a lot of the things you're also going to recognize. There's our Yeti University 101 video on YouTube. This is going to give you some very in-depth training on our platform. You can also see here there's a scope and sequence, an acceptable use policy form that you may choose to use with your students if your school does not already have one, some ideas on differentiating instruction. Here we have an assessment that's created in forms for this whole first concept. This is a written assessment of the same type thing. So these are general resources kind of related to either the concept or the module, but then we also have specific resources that tie into the exact lesson. So this is for lesson 1.1. You can see there's a scoring checklist here, a student sheet, our lesson plan. Our lesson plan is going to have information like essential and target questions. It's going to list our standards, teacher supplies that you might need. So here is a slide presentation that's created specifically for lesson 1.1. We have teacher notes. Now this is a little bit different than a lesson plan. So teacher notes are very detailed and specific. If you were going to leave notes for a substitute teacher and they're very in-depth and very specific notes, that's what you're going to see here in teacher notes. But this kind of just gives you an example of the things that you are going to see and that are going to be prepared for you there in teacher resources. Directly under that, we have standards related to these lessons, again, broken down by lesson. So here we have the ISTE standards, which is International Society for Technology in Education. And this course also includes the anchor standards for Common Core. So those are the things that you'll see here, again, broken down by lesson. So now I want to let you take a look at the student side of things. I mentioned that earlier. So we're going to go back to our classes tab, and we're going to select our class, and we're going to log in as this student. So here again, you see the flyout menu that shows kind of some of the options that you have as a teacher, doing things like resetting a student password and that kind of thing. But what I want to show you here is the log in as button. This is great if students are running into problems and you want to look at exactly what they're seeing on their screen. You can select log in as, and then you can see the student name up here, the same place that your name was as the administrator. Their avatar will be here when they create it, and this shows where their assignments are and kind of some of their points that they can earn and badges that they can earn. So we're going to click into theme park, and you can see this same type of dashboard that you saw on the teacher side is also here on the student side. So let's just do the same thing here. We'll click into that same first lesson. Now you can see these stars are shaded. That means that the student has not completed those assignments yet. And to get started, they will click on the Start button. So across the top are our 7 E's. I mentioned these briefly earlier. Engage is a warm-up type activity. They'll be presented in a lot of different ways, but you can see we can't move on to explain because we have not completed engage. When I discussed the sequential lessons before, that's where that ties in. So lessons by default must be completed sequentially. So this engage activity gives the students some instructions. So when they click on them, it's going to prompt them what to do. So here they're supposed to develop a question related to digital influence, and then they should be ready to share that question with the class. So when the student is finished with that, they're going to choose this Mark Complete button. When they click Mark Complete, it shows either their avatar or their initials here at the bottom. And you can see now that the next button is highlighted. Because we've completed this assignment, we can move on to the next one. So students can either move on here or they can go to the tabs at the top. Now you can see the Explain button, our next button, is available, but in Power, we still can't go to that one. So let's move on to Explain. Explain is the reading portion. So this is a succinct portion of text. It includes lots of pictures, so it's very engaging. We try and break up the text with a lot of pictures to keep kids interested. So this is going to be some reading. It's also going to include another look questions. So the another look questions are great. They can be used in a lot of different ways. So as a teacher, you might choose to assign these to your students and have them answer as a comment. You might just want to use these for discussion, either in class or a discussion prompt that you post. You can also use these as a formative assessments. So these are going to kind of hit those main areas that were covered in reading. So just to make sure that kids are tracking on those. You'll see there's also summary ideas and vocabulary terms that are associated with this reading. So when the students are finished with this, they will select comment, and here they're able to type text directly into the box. And they also, in addition to typing text, they also have the option of including an image. They can include a video. So maybe you're having them film a video that you want them to upload. They can do that here. They can upload a file or a link or something directly from their Google Drive. But when they've answered and they're finished, they will click Save. And now you can see this has switched to ungraded. And again, you see their initials or avatar. And once again, that next button is highlighted. We've completed this assignment. We can move on to the next assignment. So next we see our third E. We have 7 total. We won't go through all of them. We'll just go through this first 3. The Empower tab is our practice tab. So there are a couple ways that kids can practice here. Students can use the flashcards. They click on this. This is going to bring up summary ideas and vocabulary terms. They also have the option here of playing a quiz game. This is very fun. It's timed. There's a countdown timer. There's optional music. It's just a good way for them to practice and play. It's not a graded assignment, so it's no big deal if they run out of time or anything like that. But a lot of students like to go in and practice it over and over and see what kind of score that they can get. So now that we've completed this, we're going to return to the administrator side. So when you see this button, Return to Admin, we're going to click on that. And that's going to bring us back to our dashboard. Now you see our dashboard looks a little bit different this time because we have an assignment to score. So let's try to follow along with my notes. Okay, so let's click on this. We can see we have an assignment here. So again, here's our grade, and gradebook is highlighted. We have an assignment that we need to score, and that falls under digital literacy. So if you're teaching more than one module within Yeti Academy, you know exactly where those assignments are. So if you have a science assignment to grade, that's going to be right here. So we know that we're in digital literacy. So when we click on this, it's going to give us that drop-down option, and we're going to choose theme park. So there's a couple things that I want to show you here. We're able to look at 2 different types of assignments here. So I want to just quickly show you mark as done. This was the engage activity that we did. So this was the warm-up. This was a mark as done activity. So those mark as done assignments are not necessarily graded assignments. So we can see here by this little check mark that the student has completed it. We can go in and view it if we want. But it's nice because it keeps it separated out for us. We know that we don't really need to go in and score that assignment. Now, the opposite is true for comments. So this is where we keyed in our response on the explain portion of text. We can see that this is ungraded. So to go in and look at that student assignment, we're going to click view. And we can see they've typed their text in, and we're able to award points. Now, again, by default, this is set to a 10-point scale. I know a lot of schools use that, but a lot of schools also use a 4-point scale. So you are able to change that if you would like. So we're going to go ahead and give them full points, and we can add a comment in the box if we would like. And when we are finished, we will click save. When we do that, we see that our score has been added. We can still go back in and review that assignment if we would like. So I think that's what I wanted to show you here. I'm going to jump back into this. Hopefully you're seeing my screen here, and I just wanted to remind you here that if you have questions that you would like to have answered, please go ahead and use that Q&A button at the bottom. If you just have things that you want to talk about, feel free to use the chat button. So I wanted to let you know that we are definitely here for you to help you if you need it. There are a few ways that you can find us. So please feel free to use whatever method feels most comfortable for you. You can email us at support@yetiacademy.com. You can also click the chat box. You've probably seen this little blue circle at the bottom of the screen. Clicking on the chat box will also bring you to support. You can also use our Solution Center. So you're going to see the Solution Center right under your profile in the top right-hand corner of your screen. So if you use that drop-down menu, you'll see Solution Center, and you have a couple different ways of looking at material. You can search in there, or you can also just look through the list. So there's some really great information there. And then finally, you can visit our YouTube channel, and our support expert, Nikki, has added all these really great videos, and just there's some fantastic content. I like to look at it myself in the playlist view because it's just so nicely organized by our Nikki. So speaking of Nikki, I would like to direct to Nikki now for any questions.
Thank you for such a wonderful webinar, Liz. You did a great job. As far as questions go, while we didn't get any from our participants, I would like to bring up something that will most likely come up. Some teachers might be a bit confused on how to unlock and lock certain lessons.
Excellent thought, Nikki. Please feel free to share your screen so you can demonstrate that idea with our viewers.
Thank you so much, Liz. Okay, so notice that when you were showing us the curriculum, you were doing so from this curriculum tab on your side panel down here. If teachers would like to lock and unlock lessons, they will need to do so from their classroom. To do this, they'll select their Classes tab. Then they will select their classroom. From here, they'll come up here and select the Curriculum tab. Then, just as you did in your presentation, they'll come down here and select this Digital Literacy option. Then, they can enter the theme park curriculum by selecting this number of lessons. From here, they'll select the unit in which they wish to unlock or lock lessons. Then, they can do that by toggling this padlock icon on and off. Additionally, should teachers want students to not have to do the lessons in order, they can go back to the Units page by selecting this X and then ensure that Sequential Lessons is checked off. If it's checked off, then students do not have to do their lessons in order and they can jump around. By default, it will be selected On so that students must do them in order.
That was very helpful. Thank you, Nikki, for that demonstration. This concludes our training. Have a great day.